It's exciting for everybody, Dan.
Oh, definitely. So looking forward to it as we go to our last games of today. ETC versus Purple's coming up. Another unconventional ban, but Purple's been on the anti-Demon Hunter hype train for a while. And while Purple didn't get his win earlier this weekend against Firebat, Purple has been killing it in, I believe, the China Gold Series, where he's been doing well. And ETC, on the other hand, he's got a lot of room to make up. Yeah, the first appearance here from ETC on broadcast for the round robin Swiss was, or round robin group stage, excuse me, was not good. ETC, I think, made a couple of decisions that I feel like were questionable, and I think he also looked a little bit unsteady and indecisive. And I think if you're going to at least take a line that I think is a little bit more unconventional, got to be a little bit more decisive and confident about it. So we know that ETC is capable of doing really well. He's been able to play some great Hearthstone in the past in Grandmasters. However, he's got to be able to keep it consistent, right? Because it's not about just your peaks. It's all about how well you're able to play week to week. It's an 8-week tournament. And now ETC starting 0-1 alongside Purple, both players could be in a world of hurt, because either one of these players, one of them will be 0-2 after today.
Yep, and that's not a good look when they're both in Division B and relegation's on the line. 0-2 is already a tough deficit to make up from. That means even if you win out from here, which is unlikely, you're only at 5-2, which, that's still a good score, but every single loss beyond that just digs yourself a deeper and deeper hole. So, not the greatest. And there's a look at the standings so far. ETC Purple, bottom of Division B, that's the place you want to avoid. But looking at players that are at the top of Division A, those are the golden boys of America's Grandmasters right now. Gallant, Bloodyface, and Language Hacker. Those are the guys to beat when it comes to performances so far this year. And all three of them have proven a lot of consistency over not only just Swiss portion, but now 2-0 in round robin. So,
oh yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. And coming up, we do have this Warrior versus the Hunter matchup that I've actually been feeling like I underestimate Hunter in this matchup. I feel as if Highlander Hunter in particular is just being slept on. Perhaps because people look how well it does on ladder, and it does seem as a relatively straightforward deck in terms of what you want to do. People feel like, it's just kind of basic. I want more decks that have versatility and range, right? That's why they're playing Charge and Zeus, so it's like a lot more fluid as a combo / tempo deck. You play, the Egg Warrior, the Pain Warrior, No Hands Warrior. It's like extremely dynamic with how you approach it. You're like, Nanotamer Brain on 7, brr. And you just kind of crush your opponent's face. But I think Highlander Hunter still has like some of the highest potential power if you just kind of follow the curve in the entire game. And I think that every time I go up against it as the Warrior, I like underestimate what it can do to me. Very quickly, like from turn 7 onward, the game could just end.
I mean, already a pretty fast start. Prison Belmont. Going to be a nice
look at this
5
TJ.
Damage net. This is a curve, Dan!
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god. It's a curve, but it's like ETC is just going to be eternally on the back foot. And he's going to miss a really crucial turn. You set up your weapon so you can swing over 2 turns. You can't do that right now.
Yeah.
That's huge. Part of the advantage is
just going to get eaten.
Exactly. And part of the advantage of playing a weapon earlier, right, is that you're able to swing the next turn and then develop and be like a minion ahead. Oh, ETC, okay, an unconventional attack, trying to see if the Belma will trade into it. Of course, it doesn't. What did you expect?
And now he gets to Rot Nest Drake and punish him for it and push 4 more damage.
He has lethal next turn.
What the heck? Well, Risky Skipper, Armorsmith, Battle Rage.
Yeah, that's huge. But there's still going to be a ton of power on board.
Yeah.
It would have been a different story if ETC was able to kill like a Frozen Shadow Weaver and then would be able to target the Felmaw. He'd go down to dangerous life totals, but he would at least clear off the minions. Now, the problem is that even if he goes for this Risky Skipper situation, he might not be able to Battle Rage. Maybe just plays the Blood Bowl Brute here.
Drink your
blood. Eat your blood.
Okay, it's a full clear.
Nice.
If he trades into the Rotnest Drake, he preserves an HP. I think he might get greedy and say, I want to keep my Bloodborne Brute at 2 life so I could avoid things like Desert Spirit and Legion Hounds from completely blowing me out. Unafraid. All right.
And this stuck stick. If this stuff sticks. There we go. Got it out. Battle Rage is gonna wreck Purple's day.
That's right. Actually getting me thinking if Purple should tracking here, try to find a way to disarm the board.
Yep.
Does find it. He finds Guardian, Arg Merchant, and the Kill Command. Those were both good tools to shut down the board.
Now, I mean, that's a difference of 4 cards versus 2 cards from the Battle Rage, so.
Right.
Nicely
That's
spotted.
Tolvir is nice, though. Oh my goodness.
And he gets armor from the Ancient Tolvir Battle Cry damaging itself.
That is huge. All right, we have ourselves a game now.
This is why I just feel so bad to leave Warrior up, because even if you have like this good early start where everything panned out nicely,
sometimes it just has the goods.
yeah.
That's a good draw, though. Dragonbane goes off a minion. ETC now has big explosive potential.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Drink your blood. Eat your flesh.
And this warrior is starting to really pop off. Now, thing is, Purple still has the ability to clear off both these bigger threats, Fury and Rush.
It still just doesn't feel like enough, because at any point he could ETC, since he's pushing so much damage, could just draw Grom. And
True.
That's 15 damage from hand if he's able to hold on to these lackeys. ETC's just like, yeah, whatever. You're using all your stuff. I'm just pushing damage.
Yeah, it's the difference of the resources here. And I think Purple, if he doesn't find exactly King Crush here or Zephyrus, he might just be too far behind. And we thought that early game curve was enough, but you know, ETC having that huge Battle Rage turn, you can go to see why Battle Rage is so highly valued. Okay, not enough.
No. He's got Varanus on
That's
Lisa
it.
Hounds to clear things up, but 6, 7, 8,
Yep.
9 damage. Inner Rage is, yep, exactly 11. Wow.
Impressive comeback from the Warrior, but we've come to expect nothing less, so to speak. I kind of thought that the Hunter curve was just going to dominate the Warrior, but ETC with that really big risky skipper play, able to pull it back, and then going for that Battle Rage. That 2-turn sequence was enough to swing it back in momentum, and you can see why people are saying ban Warrior. You can see why they're calling it the best deck in the game. Because it can do stuff like that. That looked like an unwinnable situation, quite frankly.
It just feels like it's won like every matchup, every match, or every game so far in Americas. I can't even remember Warrior losing in the last 3 days. The 4 or
Well-
5 times it's been left up. Crazy.
Maybe we have some of that data, but that brings us to our last break of the day, TJ. So we'll look it up a little bit, and then we'll take a few minutes. And when we come back, we're going to finish out the final series of the week, ETC versus Purple. So stay tuned. More Hearthstone Grandmasters action of the Americas continues after this.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
What is my greatest fear?
Oh man, that's just too existential.
The R word, which is relegated.
The future is my greatest fear. That and spiders, they're both very high up there.
My greatest fear for the longest time was ants.
Mi mayor miedo seguían las alturas.
Hurting someone's feelings. I never really want to give off bad vibes.
Failing in Hearthstone is kind of a fear. I want to continue doing this for as long as I could.
My friend's older brothers were digging up an anthill. I went to look to see what they were doing, and then they pushed me into the anthill, and then I was covered in ants from head to toe.
I've had this recurring nightmare since I was a child of not being able to finish a puzzle, and it's a giant puzzle that I'm walking on, and then I fall into it and I wake up in sweats, and it's just terrible. So really what I'm afraid of is puzzles.
And I had to strip down naked and get hosed down to get all the ants off of me, and they were like bitey ants, and it was not fun. It was not fun at all. From that moment onward, I had a war against ants, and I absolutely hated ants.
Drowning because I don't know how to swim.
Death, and that all life is meaningless.
My greatest fear is death.
Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas finish up its final stretch of week number 4 with ETC versus Purple, as our last series of the day started off with quite the bang, as Warrior, left up by Purple, able to get that win. We don't actually have enough relevant sample size for Warrior since the week began, TJ. It's only played a couple games, and you are right, they get the win. So we'll go ahead and have more of that in the following weeks. Perhaps even an opportunity to do more fun things like hot takes, where you're talking about Warrior and banning it versus leaving it up. It'd be fun. I love watching that segment with you and Sottle, primarily because it seems like one of the two takes it seriously and the other person is TJ.
I don't get to choose which side of the argument I take, man. That's the rough part. But, I mean, I've won every week so far, so...
It's true. It's kind of impressive you won 3 weeks in a row. I was hoping that Sottle would be able to take a W eventually, but, I mean, the guy has L in his name.
I know. That's right. And I'll let you in on a little secret, Dan. He's never going to win. But
that's right.
We'll see who's going to win between ETC and Purple. The Warrior, I mean, it was going to get a win, right? It was just a matter of time. So now Purple just has to beat these other decks that ETC is bringing to the table. And that is Rogue and Warlock. ETC running the Charge Warlock and the Secret Galacon Rogue. Looks like he is going to be playing the Rogue to start things off. Purple back on the Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter has been performing quite well.
Yeah, you know, Hunter has had week to week some of the highest win rates in Hearthstone Grandmasters. Not with a curve like that, but he does have some of the more impactful cards to just turn the tides of the game. I would say that with a hand like this, if ETC doesn't put on a meaningful offensive, Purple is favored to win the game because he has like the power cards, right? So we all know what happens if we get to the late stage of the game. It means that Hunter starts counting down from Diamond Tamer Brand how much damage it can do.
Yeah. So the beasts in Purple's deck for the Scavenger's Ingenuity is limited to just Diving Griffin and Zixer. He has no other beasts. So he knows that once he plays that, he's going to get a 3-mana Rush minion. Can also have use if he picks up Zixer and it dies beforehand, because you can pick up a buffed Zixer Prime, which is 4 7/7s with Rush onto the board, turn 8 or later. That's the ideal use case, but obviously that requires pretty green skies. And right now, ETC kind of just zooing Purple down, to be honest. Purple has drawn a very expensive curve. And while he does have some power plays later in the game, notably 7 mana and on, it does seem like it might be a rough time getting there. But Scavenger's Ingenuity next turn to pick up a 3-mana Rusher to keep his early curve pretty consistent seems decent. And ETC, this is not like the highest amount of power on board.
No.
Just a lot of annoying stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another soul to consume.
Again, I stand by what I say. If ETC can't put on like a meaningful amount of pressure, Purple has like all the power cards in this deck ready to go, short of Zephyrus. And there's a reason why people call Highlander decks Zephyrus, Alex Straza, and friends. And by people, I mean pretty much just me. But, you know, the point still kind of stays the same, which is the core concept is that you play these Highlander cards so that you can draw them, not so that you can, like, play all these other things to fill out the rest of the curve.
Ooh. Well, now things are going to get a little awkward, Dan.
Yes. I think Purple might be kind of afraid to play Varanus here, but it sets up his Dino-Teamer brand.
I don't even know.
Yeah, playing around the ambush. I think in his mind, Purple's probably going to try and dig for cards like Zephyrus and other ways they can come back onto the board, because it seems like with taunts in the way, Dino-Teamer brand pressure plan isn't going to work here.
Yeah.
However, relative to how things could be on turn 6, I would say purple's in a much healthier spot than I anticipated, given the way his early game hand looked.
Yeah, he really just didn't do
24.
much.
Yeah. He's at 24, and if this wand whiffs, which we've actually seen it whiff a handful of times now, almost making me wonder if maybe part of the reason why Galakrond Rogue's inconsistency is because some of his power spikes, like Galakrond and Togwoggle, are hitting things like Blackjack Stunner a lot of the times. It makes me reevaluate whether or not that is the correct package to play.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think like the Highlander Rogue is one of the least refined tier 1/tier 2 decks. There's just so many flex positions in the decks, and we see so many different types, like decks that differ up to 10 cards, which is not often the case with Highlander.
True. This isn't a Highlander Rogue, but...
Oh, sorry. I
definitely...
thought you were talking about the Hunter.
Oh, no. I was saying that, like, Wand has a high chance of whiffing. Look, it just drew a Blackjack Stunner. And again, like those, it's not bad to have it at 0 mana, but, like, it's nowhere near as impact as it had. You know, you were, like, super afraid of, like, it discounting everything that was, like, 5 mana cost plus to 0. And now it feels like it has more built-in failure rate because of that. Now, granted, Blackjack Stunner's effect is insane. Like, it's so powerful for such a cheap amount of mana.
But it's already cheap.
Yeah, it just makes me think, you know?
It don't need to be 0.
Just makes your head... It's a head scratcher, TJ. Yeah. That being said, purple just needs to find
Zephyrus! Hello!
Okay. Well, purple drew the powerful part of his deck. Oh, hey.
Nice!
It's another opportunity to play Dynatamer Brand this game. That'd be hilarious. Siphon Soul, what's that going to do in this position, Zephyrus? Keep in mind, Redemption, I think, is the secret that was played, so it will revive an enemy minion here.
Which would be the first one played. So it is Shadow Jeweler Hanar, right? Because that's the only one left that was first. Yup.
Still, though.
Now, secrets are good. I like secrets.
Right.
A lot of people like secrets, but you do have to find a balance of Shadow Jeweler Hanar value, because you can get just caught up in this, oh yeah, more secrets, free value. But if you just play too many like mediocre secrets and you let your opponent develop, that can be a detriment instead of a benefit of the card. And so I like that ETC just stops there, says, you know, 2 secrets are enough. Let me just develop 8 power on the board real quick, and then we can continue the secrets next turn. And to be honest, this is probably a Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and hope that it's 2 very good dragons.
You fell right into my trap.
Okay.
Sure. So he's alive.
Yeah.
Right?
And he also has 28 power on board.
Oh, he could Blackjack Stunner like everything.
Oh, jeez.
Just keep making cards way too expensive.
And they're all 9 mana.
Yeah. This might be a record of the most expensive hand in a competitive Hearthstone game. That wasn't like Lotheb or Boom Pistol bullied.
Don't let the door hit you.
Okay, 3 Blackjack Stunner plays, a Freezing Trap.
One stab, mini kill.
Sure, kill the 1/1s. Why not?
There's just no way. He's another Freezing Trap. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
Purple's just going to concede. There's nothing really to do there. Really awkward draws. Had a glimpse of hope, but for the most part, seemed like it was Rogue's game to lose. And You know, maybe that's what it takes. The rogue just has to hope that the other opponent gets a really slow start, and then when given time, we see what rogue can do. It's just that this is a pretty fast metagame, so you don't really get much time, TJ.
No, they're super reliant on the early tempo, and if they don't hit that, then oftentimes they fall way too far behind. But purple essentially missing turns 1 through 4 or 1 through 3, right? He developed Stormhammer, killed a Pharaoh Cat, and then Bone Wraith on 4, which not really enough. And you can tell he's building his deck to have pretty consistent plays on turn 2. So it's not enough, and we'll see if he can actually find a win. If he can corner the Zoo Warlock, which is definitely a possibility, ETC is playing the Charge Zoo Warlock. And there are a couple of slow word decks in Purple's lineup. The Highlander Hunter, as we saw just now, can take a little bit of time to get rolling, as well as the Rogue from Purple. So maybe the Charge Zoo can come into play here and be the difference maker and allow ETC to close this one out pretty easily. But my faith in the deck is still quite low. So I'm not going to count Purple out just yet.
I mean, he does have classes that can beat it. It seems like Hunter's Curve can still pressure Zoo if they take too long to get set up. And it wasn't too long ago, TJ. It was a little bit less than 24 hours ago where ETC, his Zoo was struggling. And so maybe we do find an opportunity there for Purple to sneak in some wins, potentially even turning around the series.
Yeah. Still going to take some help, though, because beating a deck 3 times in a row, no matter how weak you perceive it to be or how weak it actually is still a difficult task. You have to be incredibly favored over those 3 to win on average. And Purple, his lineup did show some weaknesses in his matchup against Firebat, where his Rogue ended up getting swept, and his Rogue is still on the table now. So, I don't know. Still definitely a grim situation, but like I said, if there's any deck that he can reverse sweep, it's that Zoo Warlock, because it has been struggling.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the series featuring Frozen back in, I believe, 2016 for the last call qualifiers, where in Conquest he attempted to hard target Control Warrior.
Yeah.
And he played like a very unconventional lineup. He was the only player in like 6 months to bring Priest to a tournament. And he brought like a control priest. It was like double mind control, super oriented, like value oriented, trying to like kill Control Warrior. And he was like, yeah, this is like 85% against every warrior deck, every Control Warrior deck out there. And he still didn't win because trying to target that. And to be fair, the warrior players went and they're like, wow, actually, I'm not sure if I can get my warrior deck through.
Yeah.
Even then, warriors still sometimes found a way, because if it's still a 20% chance or so, odds are you still sometimes hit that. I was also watching a TV show recently with my roommates, my girlfriend Taylor and my really good friend Alex, and we watch a game show called Deal or No Deal, TJ, and it's all about exactly that. It's we talk about probability all the time and how people just make the wrong EV choices very consistently, and it's tricky because a lot of times it's deceiving to the eye.
Yeah. Then a lot of people don't care about EV, though. They would rather have all or nothing.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's extremely entertaining television to watch people make bad decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, look no further than some of the most epic misplays in Hearthstone Esports, right? It is very fun to watch that sometimes, as much as it's also painful if it's like one of your favorite players. But the percentages, even if it looks bleak, they might be more deceiving than you perceive it to be. Because math sometimes doesn't really care about your feelings.
That is true. That is true. Dan, I will give you $100 right now.
Okay.
Or
no, let's just stop there.
You can have a 5% chance for me to give you $1,000.
I'm supposed to take the 5% chance.
It's lower EV.
No, well, on average, yes or no. But yes, TJ, there's definitely those kinds of problems, and there's actually some fun games that I play that are introducing those problems to me.
Yeah, like Hearthstone.
Yes, all the time.
Okay, well, this is a good start for ETC. Because he has Scrap Hip.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 Chargers! Here we go, Dan. It's happening.
It is happening.
The look on Purple's face is like, yeah, I didn't have a 2-drop. I'm gonna get hit in the face by some Wolf Riders. No. He is just hitting him with Wolf Rider.
Wolf Rider. I mean, it's also a lot of tempo.
No!
Oh, he's Trade Rider.
Why?
The higher EV, TJ. Which I realized that you got one past me in the middle of transition. It is higher EV, correct? To take the $100.
Well played. Well fought.
What? Purple's just conceding. Oh my goodness.
Yikes.
Purple feels like he's in such a bad position because ETC got that Scrap Imp that he's just gonna concede, and he's looking at his hand and says, get me out of this game. So Purple didn't really want to play it out, knowing that he was unlikely to win, but that was pretty surprising. I thought he would at least try to hang in there for a little bit longer.
See what they have.
Right.
The Scrap Imp may not have been the best Scrap Imp in the world. Maybe get Zephyrus back. I don't know. It's a very low % odds to win there when you see that big of a Scrap Imp buff come out early and do your 2-drop, but it's not a 0% win.
That was pretty shocking, but, you know, Purple trying to eject and be respectful of everybody's time here as we wrap up the 5th series. That was super quick. But here's a quick recap of what we saw today. Bloodyface, Saiyan, Zalay, Frozen, and ETC get the wins, perhaps some of the most crucial victories. ETC getting a win and Frozen getting a win means that in Division B, they're at a 1-1 score. Meanwhile, players like Purple now down to 0-2, and Papa Jason's still winless as well. We'll see how that shakes out in Division B.
Everybody that only played once this week will play 2 for the remainder of weeks, since every player has 1 out of the last 4 weeks where they only played once, since they're playing 7 matches total. So Papa Jason will have 2 matches next week to prove himself. And that's the same for Eddie, Nalgidon, and PNC. But all of those players, every player that only played once this week lost their match, so that feels bad. They have a lot of ground to make up next week, but at least they can in their head high and say, hey, at least I didn't go 0-2.
Yeah, the 0-2 players definitely don't feel great about it, but there's still plenty of room to make that up. After next week, though, if there's any players 0-4, TJ, especially in Division B, ooh, that is tough. Because at least if Monsanto and Empanizado lose out, they still get to play the relegation bracket. And only out of those relegation brackets for the 4 players, only 1 gets relegated. So still, chances are you're going to be okay. But Division B doesn't really get that luxury.
Yeah, and the worst case scenario, even if you finish 8th seed in Division A and get into relegation bracket, you still have a 2-match buffer to avoid relegation. If you're the last relegation seed from Division B, so 6th, since you would be automatically relegated 7th and 8th, it's literally you play 1 match. If you lose it, you're out of Grandmasters. That's how brutal that last relegation seed is for Division B. I mean, not as brutal as getting automatically relegated because they knew I'm gonna have a chance.
True,
but brutal nonetheless.
Yeah, it's going to be a bittersweet finish, of course. Sweet because new people get opportunities, but also bitter. We don't want to lose some of our friends, as we are kind of a big family in Hearthstone. However, sometimes we do have to say goodbyes. In the meantime, as we get ready for our goodbye, I want to give a final shout out to T-Mobile, helping us put on our deck spotlight and helping us stay connected to what matters most. And if you want to stay connected to our programs and you want more information about this entire system, or perhaps how you can get involved through the Masters Tour, head over to playhearthstone.com/esports. That's it from us. Week 4 is done. Halfway through the GM season. When we come back on Friday, once more, we're going to continue our round robin matches, but the stakes continue to elevate. Frodan, TJ, and everyone else here is part of the Grandmasters program. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.